One of the most famous fan theories about Boruto's ending is that the series is going to end with every single Boruto character under the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and we'll find out that Madara actually won in the end of the Naruto series. This fan theory obviously splits the opinions of the entire fandom, because, to be honest, the Naruto fandom is divided in two sections. People who like Boruto and people who hate Boruto. Usually people who like Boruto do not want this ending to happen, and people who don't like Boruto want this ending to happen. In this video, we're gonna be analyzing whether or not this would even work, and what would be the repercussions for the entire Naruto series / Boruto series if that ending actually happened, the chances of it happening, and all sorts of stuff like financial things about if this ending would be able to pull off more money than a more conventional Boruto ending. So let's begin by explaining why people want this ending to happen, particularly people who do not like Boruto. Well, it's pretty obvious. If this was the actual ending, you could simply say that Boruto never existed. It was just a dream. This would erase the entire story of Boruto, which has been damaging the Naruto franchise ever since it started, and it would also erase Kaguya from the narrative, by far the worst character ever introduced in any story ever written. So naturally, you can see that this ending would have a lot of appeal, especially for people who don't like Boruto. Now, in this alternative ending, the Boruto series could have been the Infinite Tsukuyomi dream of any given character, essentially. But the most likely one would be Naruto. Though, the most asked question whenever this theory is posed is, well, but bad things have happened in the Boruto series, and as we all know, the Infinite Tsukuyomi is supposed to be a perfect dream where everything is perfect. And that is very true, but you could easily wave that off, saying that Madara realized that people aren't satisfied with perfect lives where nothing bad ever happens. To be honest, this is a very interesting philosophical question if posed in a story. Think about it. A life where there's no adversity, no conflict, nothing, it's only good things non-stop, that life would most likely be quite boring, and eventually the person would even turn, I don't know, man, evil or something, because there's no challenge, there's nothing you can do to make things a little bit more interesting. It's how they say, there is no light without darkness. You need a little bit of a balance. Naturally, you don't want bad things to happen to you all the time, but if you don't have to go through any adversity in life, then what's even the point? And you could even say that Madara realized that when people began to feel depressed because they were happy all the time in the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and that's why he decided to tweak the dreams people were having to something more balanced, where bad things happen, but in the end of the day, good will prevail. Madara would even most likely come to that conclusion by understanding himself, because he definitely enjoyed fighting against powerful opponents. He loved battles, even though he craved peace, and that was one of his most interesting characteristics. This dual dynamic, kind of a hypocrisy, where he doesn't want fights, he doesn't want war, he wants peace, but he craves the thrill of battle. And so he could even see that in these dreams of the Infinite Tsukuyomi, people weren't satisfied because they didn't have that, and so he had to provide something for them to fight against. And, well, sure, maybe aliens would be the answer. The Otsutsukis. They are so extremely powerful that they're gonna keep your dreamers occupied for a long time. So, yes, you could write that off as Madara changing his plan a little bit so that people would have a challenge to go off. And so, no, it wouldn't be a plot hole that Naruto lost Kurama, that Sasuke lost Rinnegan and stuff like that. But how about the ending itself? If we reached the end of the Boruto series and we saw that Madara was actually alive and everyone was in those weird little wood-style prisons from the tree and under the Infinite Tsukuyomi Genjutsu. First of all, that would probably be the most shocking plot twist in the history of anime. Finding out that the entire story you've been following for years was essentially a dream cast by an antagonist of the old series would split many people's opinions, just like this very theory does. Though the shock value would still be there. Would it be enough to make it a worthwhile ending? The thing is, with endings like these, you have to set them up before they happened. Otherwise, it seems like they just come out of nowhere, just like Kaguya and Zetsu in the War Arc. But this was already set up in the original Naruto series, which you can assume most people that are reading / watching Boruto have also read / watched. And the Infinite Tsukuyomi in the Naruto series was the big plan for the final arc, which everyone knew about and everyone was trying to stop. So it wouldn't have come out of left field. It's just that in the Boruto series itself, the Infinite Tsukuyomi wasn't really something that anyone focused on. But then of course there is the problem of undoing the entire story for the sake of the plot twist and the shock that the audience would get after seeing, okay, Madara's actually alive. And in most stories, this is not really advisable, unless if you're really trying to break parameters and subvert expectations, which in this day and age is something rather annoying because now so many things are trying to subvert expectations that subversion itself, it's becoming no longer subversive. Just take the last season of Game of Thrones, for example. That was absolutely horrible. And for the people who've actually enjoyed the Boruto series, it would be a slap on the face. For the people who detest the Boruto series, it would be amazing because, as I said before, it destroys the entire Boruto cast and the Otsutsuki villains, rolling things back to when Madara was around. And then you could move on from there. Maybe somehow Naruto, Sasuke, and maybe Kakashi and Sakura escape their Infinite Tsukuyomi prison, and then they actually fought Madara for a final duel. But let's think about this more critically. Would it even make sense? What would be the point of destroying the Boruto series here? Well, you could say Boruto is terrible, which I would definitely agree with you, and destroying the Boruto series would be something desirable, but, well, the problem is that this ending also changes the ending of the Naruto series. Because with this ending, you have to understand that Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Sakura lost. And don't get me wrong, I love Madara, he is my favorite character. But Naruto is not the type of series that the villain should win in the end. It would also break parameters, but it would contradict every single message and theme in the entire story. The struggle of the ninjas trying to be humans in this world of desperation, fights, and where you're just being treated like tools, while Madara becomes this demigod and essentially ascends above humanity. That's what they're fighting for in the end. They're fighting for mankind. And in this scenario, mankind loses. And then you could say, well, but then they're gonna have a second chance and fight Madara after Boruto's done, whenever they manage to somehow escape the Infinite Tsukuyomi. But that would also not be satisfactory, because if this were to be done anyway, it should have been done in the Naruto series. It should have been done all the way back then. Naturally, 98% of the Naruto audience would have preferred Madara over Kaguya in the end of the series. But having them fight Madara all those years later for the sake of the retcon would be at least weird to think about. And then in this fight, Team 7 would actually beat Madara. But the thing is, you've already blown that charge, man. You've already had the final battle in the Naruto series against Kaguya. Now, of course, the actual final battle is against Sasuke, you know, Naruto versus Sasuke, but I'm talking about more of the plot of the War Arc and of the Akatsuki and of all that, the main antagonist, because the Naruto-Sasuke rivalry was something that kind of transcended the plot itself, and that's why I usually treat it differently than these other battles. But as I said before, they've already had the final set-piece battle of Team 7 versus the final boss of the War Arc, and that was Kaguya, unfortunately. Doing it again with Madara, we would know the result, we would know Madara loses. I don't really know if you could do something too much different that would make us care more. Now, of course, this would erase Kaguya and the Otsutsukis from the series, but people would most likely not be as invested anymore. First, because some people would just drop the Naruto verse entirely because they'll be upset because Boruto was deleted from existence. And then, if we get the same type of art that we get with the Boruto manga, I wouldn't like to see that battle anyway. Kishimoto should draw that battle if that were to happen, of course, but even so, the emotional charge of the battle wouldn't be there. Because think about this, we were experiencing the Boruto story all the way through its ending phase. I don't know how they would actually reveal they were under the Infinite Tsukuyomi, but we would be experiencing an entirely different story, and then all of a sudden we're back. We're back to that point in time where, well, Naruto and Sasuke were still 16-year-old, and they have to fight against Madara. So it's just this very disjointed series of events that, sure, I mean, maybe it could be fun to see Madara fighting Team 7, but the emotional investment wouldn't be placed on the right thing, because people would be thinking, well, what about Boruto? Now we're just all of a sudden back in time, and we're fighting Madara again? What's happening? Then again, this is probably the average fan we're talking about. If you talk about a more avid Boruto fan, they would absolutely despise it with every fiber of their being, and if you're talking about people that hate Boruto, then they would absolutely love it, just because Boruto has been erased from existence. If this ending was done to a good story, any good manga, or even other type of story that you enjoy, this would be a terrible ending. But because Boruto is so bad, this ending would actually improve the story, which by improve, I mean completely erase it. It's definitely a very, very interesting thing to think about, but when you go and try to do something like that, it would most likely not work. And this ending will never happen. There isn't a single multiverse out there where this ending happens in the Boruto series. It's simply not how Shonen Jump operates, and even how the people writing Boruto right now operate. And if you say that Kishimoto is writing Boruto, no, he's not. They're just trying to make you believe he is, because he definitely isn't. The thing is, they've put too much effort into the Boruto brand to simply erase it out of existence. Now, sure, the Boruto manga is beginning to tank pretty bad, but Boruto is still absolutely profitable. They sell all types of things like toys and even the anime, so destroying the brand and essentially making it non-canon would be not a very good business decision for them. And let's just say they do this ending with a plot twist of the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and they actually make Kishimoto draw the best battle scene against Madara he's ever drew, and he managed to come up with a final ending for the story that makes more sense, that's more dramatic, that the fight is cooler, that we're invested in Madara and the other characters. And then you can also say he remakes the Naruto versus Sasuke fight in the Valley of the End, adding more scenes and more drama to it, and that Kishimoto essentially remakes the entire ending of Boruto the way he wanted, because everyone knows Shonen Jump was actually rushing Kishimoto to end the series at chapter 700, even though he had more stuff that he wanted to tell in the story. But no, you have to finish by 700, dude. There's nothing more we can do here, even though Naruto is literally the most popular anime in the world. No, we are not gonna give you the light of day. But let's say they let Kishimoto have his Snyder cut of the Naruto series and finish the story exactly how he wanted. That would be very successful. Obviously, people would buy that and watch and read, and let's even assume that after Kishimoto draws the alternative ending, they do an anime arc, just like they're doing with Bleach now, with improved fight scenes and god-tier animation and all that. That would also sell really, really well, because let's be real, Naruto is far better and more popular than Boruto. But what would happen after that? Franchises like Naruto essentially never end. You can expect that even after Boruto ends, there's gonna be something else. But if they went this different route with the alternative ending of Naruto, then what would they do for a sequel? Would they change the sons of the protagonists? Would Boruto no longer be Boruto? Would he be a different character and Sarada? And then would they not really include the Otsutsukis in the story? Would they make a completely different thing? Or would they go to the past, for instance? Well, we don't know, but a direct sequel with the children of the protagonists would most likely flop hard in that situation, because we quite literally had a sequel before that was erased from existence. And now people are gonna be like, well, but what if they just decide to destroy this series again? I don't want to watch this. I don't want to get invested in it just to have every single character wiped out the face of the earth. Now maybe if somehow they succeed into doing an alternative sequel that isn't Boruto but kind of follows the protagonist's children and it's successful, then yeah, I mean that's good, but that's a very, very big business risk that they would simply never ever take. Because yeah, sure, Boruto's stanking right now, the manga's not doing so well, but they still make money from it. They make a decent amount. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be making the anime every single week, and even including filler arcs. I mean, an absurd amount of filler arcs in the anime so that it doesn't catch up to the manga. And yeah, some people say that sometimes stories don't really care about their bottom line and they just do whatever they feel like. Some authors are just like that. But that's not the Shonen Jump authors. You have to remember that all these mangas are supervised by Shonen Jump editors. And technically, the editors have more power than the authors of the manga, because if the editor says, no, this cannot go in the manga, you have to do something else, or you have to do this, they have that power. They can control the manga much more than the mangaka, which is something weird, which I don't like that much, but it's the way Shonen Jump runs its business. If you want a more in-depth video about Shonen Jump, I can make it in the future. Leave it in the comments down below if you're interested in that topic. But this ending wouldn't work for several reasons, because it would undermine Boruto as an entire series, which I personally wouldn't mind one bit, but many people would, and it would also undermine the ending of Naruto, because yes, you would erase the Naruto versus Sasuke final fight and all the conclusion the series had. And this is just the story perspective of it. If you go to the financial side, this would be an absurd risk that they simply do not have to take. Sure, the plot twist would gather an absurd amount of money on the short term, but if they have aspirations of doing something after the Boruto series ends, then they probably wouldn't take that big of a risk. To be fair, by that point, if they actually end the story with the Infinite Tsukuyomi plot twist, then they would have already gotten a lot of money from the entire Boruto story, which most people didn't assume was going to end like that, so they already got their money, and that could give them a very large boost of revenue in the very end of the series. But still, the effects in the long run, and if they want to do a Soruto series, you know, the children of Boruto and Sarada in the future, then they should probably avoid that at all costs, naturally. Watch this other video right here and understand why Boruto is a terrible series. Like this video too to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, it really helps a lot, seriously. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching.